has VR stagnated? Sometimes it feels that way. Honestly, sometimes gaming feels that way. But more often than not, there are these pioneers in every space. Lunatics hunting for gold in a barren wasteland that are just crazy enough to take on the near endless questions that arise when creating a game. And heaven help you if that game happens to be VR. Good luck. I think that's why quite a lot of us feel this way. But like many of the people in my comments tend to say, game development is just really, really hard, which I think we can all probably agree with. But what if I could tell you of a story about such said lunatic that's been hitting gold time and time again? And although they may stumble, they wear their mistakes proudly on their chest. So if you're interested in a little bit of hope, let me introduce you to a game I've been following for years called Projectthirdeye.
Not sponsored by Illuminati, also not the dev, I don't know, yeah, okay.
You know how I mentioned about the near endless questions that arise when creating a game, or a VR game for that matter? Well, let me ask you, how would you solve some of these things? Like riding a skateboard in VR. Anything come to mind? The limitations being evident, you only have 2 controllers and a lot of the buttons are already decided for. And not to mention if you relegate the movement to joysticks or something like that, that's going to create a disconnect with your brain and body and probably induce vertigo or motion sickness by you using it. So, how do you solve such a problem? This was one of the first things that blew me away when I seen it. A solution so clever that I couldn't possibly have thought of it myself. What if you simply tied your feet to your hands? Imagine little puppet strings tied to your legs, allowing your hands to act as your feet. And what if you gave the trigger on either controller the ability to push forward or backwards, given whatever controller it is? I guess they would both technically be moving forward, but still. This would enable you to do things like nose grinds, or even if you just snap your hands in the right order, you can replicate a kickflip. I cannot describe how many things I've used in VR that just don't translate, whether it's the joysticks, whether it's whatever. But this, oh my god, within 2 seconds of even knowing how to use this, it just seemed so right. Damn near instantly becoming an extension of yourself and how you would normally function. And the cherry on top, inducing 0 motion sickness, which was amazing. Now, I wasn't very good at it, but still, but that's not even a percentage of what this game has in it. It has everything from a BMX to a fucking scooter, man. And it would blow you away how well all of these seem to work, especially when it comes to doing tricks in VR. I remember a long time ago, we seen a game that was showcased, and it was basically like tech decks for VR. I never really knew who it was for, and it just didn't look exciting to me to do it. I wouldn't imagine a person who likes skating might like it either, but this, oh boy, this is so satisfying and enables you to actually feel like your body is important in this. It's not just an ethereal ghost nudging a board around. Along with many more types of transportation of every kind, they also have snowboards and whatever this death trap is. BMX snowboard, I don't know. As a Canadian, if we had this when I was younger, we'd most certainly kill ourselves. Best we had is just bombing down like a 90-degree angle slope into a bunch of other kids breaking boats. Yeah, but this would have been much worse. And surprisingly, this abomination works really well. Again, what makes all this so shocking is just how functional all of it is. Unfortunately, there's so much to cover that I can't spend too much time on anything, but trust me when I say these things in particular are an absolute highlight that you won't find in damn near any other VR game. But perhaps you don't like snowboards and pedal bikes. Perhaps you want something with a lot more bang for your buck, like a dirt bike for instance, with a functional clutch and the ability to lean into corners and even accelerate with a wrist turn, activating the throttle. Did I also mention you can do flips and wheelies? Oh, and it also has functional suspension, which is just wild. Everything about this game is an absolute passion project, and we'll get more into that later, but let's get into more. So maybe you're not a dirt bike guy, totally get it. How about go-karts that have a functional piston-like engine, which you can kickstart by rotating said piston, but also this little go-kart has a novel idea of the triggers being the acceleration and reverse when you are holding on to the steering wheel. But wait, you can't shoot while you drive. When the 0.1% of time when you want to do a drive-by, you weirdo, sure. Well, guess what? When you let go of the fucking steering wheel, you can shoot in the 1% that you want to do that. Why that's worth throwing away triggers instead of using a fucking joystick to move is beyond me. Idiots. Bone Lab. Anyways, just dumb. The stupidest trade-off ever. Anyway, the one time you want to do one activity is slaughtered from something so simple as pressing trigger. Full stop. This is the best driving I've felt in any VR game ever, and it's not even close. And I think one of the reasons for this is because you can position yourself wherever you want given you're near the seat, even if you're looking at your stomach clip through the seat, so long as you are the most comfortable, and if you want to pull yourself back so you can see more, then by all means do that, and you have such a better time driving, rather than being forced into a position that's locked and also constantly inducing vertigo and motion sickness. It is so good and works too well. Maybe you're not into the whole go-kart thing. Well, there's cars for you aplenty, but how about instead we talk about water vehicles, and they have no reason to be this good. Not to mention cute, by the way. There's like a cute little ducky little thing you can the little things you see at like amusement parks, something like that, or fairs. You little paddle, just little paddles, and you just start trucking along this cute little duck boat, as well as full-on boats and so on and so forth. A little point of criticism, water is a little tough. Water is hard to swim in. It feels like you're swimming through syrup, and your body just doesn't do what you want it to do. It's not very intuitive. But the boats, whoo! And outside of boats, there of course is this. Something that should absolutely be the best thing you've seen in VR this whole year. This is the reason why I want to make this video, to be honest. I have never seen something so awesome, so cool, and also been so hopelessly lost on how to replicate 10% of it. This is where like a game made by the developer there's a slight issue, is because the developer is so damn deep that you're like, buddy, how do I emulate 10% of what this is? Because I have no fucking idea. Yeah, maybe we'll talk a little more about that later down the line, but bear with me. More stuff to throw at you. Outside of the fact that this is beautiful, you're grinding, you're like doing behind the back pivots and swishes, and oh my god, so clean, so cool, and I never would have thought you'd be able to do this in VR and not have it all explode. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. So what, Grin? You found a cool car game or whatever. Sorry, my misinformed friend. Projectthirdeye was never meant to be a car game. In fact, as a person who's been following it from the very get-go, it was actually meant to be kind of a competitor to Bone Lab, or a version of Bone Lab that this dev wanted. Or at least that's what I got out of the videos I watched so many years ago. Did I mention I'm biased, by the way, just because I'm like very into this project? Anyways, so with this game starting out as being an inspiration to Bone Lab, a game that we love so much, why wouldn't it have guns? But not any guns. Guns with functional physics that allow you to reload with the friction of a table and actually force you to push the magazine all the way into the gun. And if you don't, the magazine will likely slip out. Honestly, it gives you kind of a reason to do like the whole tactical John Wick reload wrist flick thing. Very cool. The physics are tuned so well that it actually feels like it's like it's right. Like it looks like it's a replication of what you would do in real life as far as the whipping this piece of metal out of a gun thing. Yes. One little mark against all the guns though is the recoil is wild. And also like your wrists are never in the right alignment to make you feel cozy, but it could also just be that I'm on Quest 2 and it's nightmare hell. VR games are never the same across the board. Also, just to wrap up the whole I don't know what, there's no really way to categorize this. There's a giant backpack that has two giant claws that just do too much. Yeah, I don't know where you put that either. We're talking about guns, vehicles, we're throwing this here. And what stands out to me about this weird backpack claw thing is just how functional it is by you just walking up to it, putting it on, snapping it onto your back, and then it just does what you want it to do. Maybe it's a limitation of always experiencing things through Bone Lab mods, but this has been, the fact that it works so well is shocking to me. Also, the claws have dynamic grab poses, given whatever they're trying to get their grabbing their fingers on, so on and so forth. Also, we don't talk about the Batwing thing, because okay, here we go. What about drones that you can put on glasses for and drive around like a little fast copter? You've seen the TikTok videos? What about also the shitty little planes that broke in 2 seconds as your parents bought them for you? My dad bought one that was $200. It nosedived into the ground and broke immediately, and we never bought anything like that again. Ooh, childhood. As well as just like anything in that vein is probably here. Good. And of course, just like every VR sandbox sim, we have NPCs that are weirdly, they look like they're from a specific type of video game, if you know what you know. We also have levels that are actually pretty good as far as their size and their complexity, but more on that a little bit later. Before I get ahead of myself, let's talk about the things that are as cool as they are overwhelming. And oh boy, this game, if there was one tagline, it's overwhelming. Alright, this is just a thing for me. In the comments, tell me how you feel when you see this. Okay? Yeah, you and me both, buddy. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, what has happened? Oh, fuck. shit. Okay. This game lets you tap into such complexity, I don't even know how far it goes. Oh, by the way, did I mention that this game also has mod support finally? And holy shit, it seems to be pretty crazy. More on that later as well. Ha! But if this kind of complexity interests you, then boy howdy, there's probably much more for you to consume all that. And for the people who are drowning right now, just hang in there, buddy. We'll get past this. And along with your ability to tweak damn near everything, you also have complex functionality. Like I mentioned a moment ago, literal engines that operate as such, as well as clutches, and so on and so forth. You can literally build a car from nothing but like the welder, the nailer, and all this weird, crazy, complex shit. And you can even save your abomination-like creations, which is another thing I haven't seen very much in VR land. But yeah. And honestly, probably more things like that, but my simple brain can't possibly, fucking understand what the hell's happening, so we'll just move on. They also have other things that I would just love to see in other games, such as something that is so clever, like an endless ramp, so you can endlessly go down it doing tricks with your BMX skateboard or whatever the hell. Not to mention things like a functional snowboard lift. There's the lift, and then there's like a pole equivalent. I don't know what the pole equivalent is called. A pole, maybe? A snowboard pole? Anyways, I've used them. I have no idea what it's called, though. Yeah. All right. This is the last thing I promised, and then we're done. This is the last thing that I have to show you that's going to blow your socks off, especially if you're a modder. In fact, if you're a dev of any kind, I'm curious how useful this is. I think it seems pretty damn useful, though, especially if you're a modder at the very least. This is your own 3D platform that you can put up in Projectthirdeye, which you can make something as simple as a ramp or something as complex as a level. And like I said, you can save whatever you choose to make. I am extremely curious on how useful this could be if you were planning on trying to map out a level of a kind. Especially as a dev, being able to basically inverse a square and lay it out and slant walls and kind of get the layout as you're actually building it so you know how the whole level feels, rather than doing it in Engine and kind of having a disconnect or a distance in it, what it will be when you're actually in it itself. But to me, man, it just seems boundlessly clever, especially to like make out a whole layout and kind of at least get a gist of what you're trying to do with your level mod, or your level that you just want to make for your friends, or you want to make like a horror map where there's like you're stuck in a maze and you're hiding behind walls while your friend is coming to kill you, if the dev ever adds multiplayer, which I think would make this game in a whole league of its own. But yes, but perhaps I'm just giving this tool a little bit too much credit, because I don't know. This is the question for the devs that I have. Is this useful or cool? It definitely is cool. You can't take that from me. But I'm wondering if it actually could be applied in a useful way for mod design, level design, things like that, So, pretty cool, right? And it was only 15 Canadian dollars, which, by the way, being a fan of VR and games being cheap is a hella nice. Very few games being on PC VR is not very, very unnice, but hey, with it only being $15 and significantly less if you're a US citizen, should you go out and buy it after all the glazing upon glazing that I have done? Well, here's the thing. Firstly, I'm not one to tell anyone how to spend their money. Trust me, we've all made mistakes at some point or another. Yeah, but before I send you on your way, let me tell you, I've been following this project since the very beginning. And I'm usually late to things, but for this, I was literally the 224th subscriber of a channel that only had like 5 or 6 videos, and 3 of which weren't even about the game that they were about to start developing. And it was so awesome to see. Every tiny micro improvement along the way, coupled with the endless rawness that these devlogs always seem to bring. Kept in every mistake and every bug, wanting to showcase something only for it to break in front of his eyes and him to take it like an absolute champ, and then for it to be fixed in the next coming up devlog. Or for him to go radio silent for a month and come out with some sort of crazy new weapon, car model, or a good answer to one of the consistent problems in the VR space, such as how to handle some of the strangest oddities like skateboards or planes. I didn't even mention the planes, BMXs, guns, friction, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Whew. Anyways, the years went on, and I watched and watched, until I finally had enough time on my plate and I jumped in head first. Only to be completely and utterly lost. And it's not that I have the memory of a goldfish, although it could be better. It's just about how little this game actually tells you. And don't get me wrong, I remember plenty of devlogs of the developer showing how to use X, Y, or even Z. But if I could say that there is one thing that's going to be the downfall of this game, its core weakness, the thing that's going to make it break, or its disconnecting factor, the thing that's going to break people wanting to pursue it or wanting to see how amazing it really is, it's that. It has so many cool things, boundless awesome things that I've shown you today, but doesn't tell you how to do much of any of them. And I think this is a weakness that other sandbox sims carry. All of them preaching the adage of make your own fun. We've added all these things into the game, go nuts. But unless you're watching the YouTube video as a kind of makeshift tutorial on how to have fun, and then immediately jumping into the game to then try to dabble with some of those things, you're gonna be lost like crazy. And you're gonna be asking yourself the question, what the fuck do I do? That's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, to shine a light on just how brilliant and impressive some of the solutions brought forth in that this game showcases. So, if I could be so bold, I have a challenge for the creator that I've watched for a few years now. Please, oh please, make a level similar to the first level you encounter in Boneworks. The iconic level of you throwing things and interacting with the physics, climbing walls, and doing all of these things. It could be something as simple as floating white text with a 480p video in the corner showing you what you could do to have the most amount of fun possible. A little area to the right of the level, it could be a little area with a ramp, with a scooter, a skateboard, and a BMX at the top, with a little video playing off to the side, doing some of the craziest things like jumping off the scooter at the last minute, spinning, and then basically sitting down in the vehicle again. That's how it functions. And then landing back down effortlessly. And it would be really cool to see if you outsource this to the community, just kind of show the potential of each given feature in the game, such as the guns and how they function, the NPCs, so on and so forth. But that's the one thing that I feel like this game desperately needs, is like a playground area that says, hey, this is what this game is. This is what the potential you can have for creating fun with your friends, if they ever decide to do co-op. But I think that's an absolute win if they do that. But I still think if you do co-op, you'll still run into the same problem of like, what do we do? And again, I think that was the key to Bone Lab's success, is that it kind of forced you to recognize that this is not your normal VR game. There's features in this game that define it in such a massive way, and if you don't leverage any of those, or if you don't lead with any of those, you oftentimes are just left to be someone who is unknown. Plenty of people are going to log into the game, use the one feature that they've seen in a video, and then think that's all that there is, because they're not willing to watch a past 1,000 devlogs, you know? And by the way, this isn't an easy feat, by the way, but I think if this game had like a strong level 1 or an introduction level that kind of introduce you to all of the things that are possible, I think that would do wonders for this game, and even do wonders for modders, because a lot of modders don't just look at a game and decide I'm going to mod it. They play it and are excited by the fact that this game has so many features, and they want to see if those features can be leveraged for their own unique ideas. But they can only do that if they are first introduced to said ideas. Once again, I adore the effort made by the game creator, but I can't see a future where this game gets the love that it damn well deserves if it doesn't find a way for new players to get a crash course in what the hell this game even is, and how to emulate some of the most badass things that you can do in it. Lastly, to the dev of Projectthirdeye, who has put endless effort into his project, I am proud to say that I have witnessed your effort the entire way through, and it's been a messy spectacle to behold for sure, but a spectacle nevertheless, sir. I hope you continue to create in the VR space, because we need lunatics like you to bring us out of the ever-expanding wasteland that tends to be the VR space. So I can't wait to see what you do next. My name is Grin. I hope I can see you again, and love you. Also, we do streams sometimes. I haven't missed a week in 5 years. I missed on Sunday because I was sick. God damn it. Yeah, but also members. Love you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. All right.